I'm Gretchen and this is Chris, and we are together talking. We decided we'd come and talk here because we don't talk at home much, so we thought we'd just do it in front of you.
Needed another platform.
Yeah.
Needed another space.
Not really, just a joke. But we wanted to talk to you about another thought that we've been having or seeing at the moment. Over to you, Chris.
I referred back into our last one that God seems to be doing at least 3 things at the moment. He's doing massive, amazing, deep healing in people. He's filling people afresh with the Holy Spirit, and this whole new wine skin is, and these words and these prophetic words and visions and new fruit even, it all seem to be connected with this new infilling of the Holy Spirit. And then this commissioning, this kind of shaking off the past, realizing who we are in our identity, and then walking into our purpose, recognizing our design. We're seeing these 3 things happen everywhere. So in this little chat, we want to speak to you about this filling of the Holy Spirit. It seems to be a little bit different to what I've read about in the past, and like revivals and what the Holy Spirit does. There's a whole lot of this intimacy, like quiet, one-on-one, come away with me, be into me, come and talk with me. So much of it seems to be this kind of intimacy that the Holy Spirit is calling so many people to at the moment. And the big difference, isn't it, Gretchen, is that we can all know about it, but the question is, are we doing it?
That's the thing I find so often in my work. So I'm suggesting this great idea, and the people are like, oh yeah, I know all about that. And I'm like, yes, great. And then I'm like, so are you doing it? And that's the moment of like, there's a pause. Or I suggest to someone to do something, and next time they come back and I'm like, so how'd you go with the homework? And the homework, no, that doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay, so tell me about it. How did you try it? How did it go? And they're like, oh, well, I didn't do it. And so I'm like, yeah, it never works if you don't do it. But I noticed myself in church in the last probably couple of months. Both Joel and Stu have said, probably Joel was a while ago, but I remember it as well, both sort of saying, maybe you're spending this much time in the Word and with God during the week, during the day. Maybe spend this much, just expand it a little bit. And I remember the first time going, yeah, I'm spending time, yeah. And then going, wait a minute, how much time am I actually spending? And maybe I'm spending time for somebody else. Like I'm, seeking God for somebody else's problem or issue or something that I'm trying to understand, but just time with me and with Him. Like you were saying, the come away with me, or like the beautiful time together. Yeah. Sometimes I'm forgetting to do that part.
I'm not going to let go now.
But so I think the invitation for each of us is to actually do this. So if you're sitting there going, yeah, stop and think about it and ask God how He might like to meet with you more in a different way, in a greater way maybe than what you've ever experienced before. And maybe even having more time just with you and Him, not selfish, but actually you receiving from Him for you, because then from out of that flows our love for others. We love Him first, we love ourselves, and then we love others from that, serve others.
I remember a time in my life where God was really challenged me to spend more time with Him, and the debate at the time was, how many hours do you spend in the Word, or how many hours do you spend in prayer? And I don't think that's the right question. Let me ask you this question, because I think this is a good way to gauge it. How much time do you need to spend with the Lord so that you can do what you're called to do under the power of the Holy Spirit?
Yes.
Let that be the gauge upon which you decide, with His help, how much time you need to spend with Him. The hard part here is about comparing and contrasting. Hey, we're not trying to judge anybody. That's not what it's about at all. You need to have that chat with Him about how much time, God, do you want? How much of me do you want?
And I think if we're finding ourselves stressed and like overwhelmed in the day, that's probably a good sign that we need more.
Yeah. So this comes back to that word we spoke about last time, oikodomeo, and this is the concept of building and repairing, and this is what God's doing at the same time. And it's in this intimacy, in this place of intimacy, that God can come in deeper into you and just let fall away what needs to fall away. I've got some people that I'm working with at the moment, and they find this really hard because in that vulnerability and in that intimacy, they're very confronted with the issues that are the big part of their life.
I think that's for a lot of us.
Yeah. And so we actually don't sometimes go into that intimacy and that vulnerability with God because of that confrontation and that fear. But I want to invite you, as we get mature and as we grow up, we need to take a little bit of pain for a whole lot of gain.
Yeah.
And the gain is Christ. Yeah. So we just want to encourage you with that. Find time to be with the Lord one-on-one, uno on uno, just you and him.
And play a little game of Uno.